Praise God, and we're back. For those that are watching live, you are watching the Aniya A Show, and I have my first guest on with us by the name of Senior Chaplain, Liaison, Man of God, Apostle, Ambassador, Preacher, Cedar Zaquan Jones. He is the Senior
Good
Chaplain
evening.
of the NYPD. He is my right-hand man and your best friend. Okay, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It is so good to be here once again. I'm so delighted to be here tonight. What can I say? What can I say?
Can you say?
But it's a pleasure to be joining you once again on the Aniya Show. So good evening.
Thank you, good sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. The people are here with us live. Thank you for all of your comments. Thank you for joining us. Sir, I'm going to let you take the lead because we are discussing very interesting issues. And before I play this video clip live, I wanted you to say a couple of words because last week was a very trying time for all of us. We were all on edge. But tonight on the Motivational Monday Moment, we're going to discuss how things are really looking for our people presently in regards to the violence against us and things of that nature. And as we laugh and as we joke around a lot, this is a very serious time of our lives. I don't think I've ever seen so much anger and so much crime against us as a Black people. But then again, I wasn't around 200 years ago or 100 years ago when they were lynching our Black bloods. You know what I mean? Right now, it feels like a complete repeat. And I wanted to hear from you tonight. And I'm going to need them to be quiet. You better tell them to go away in Jesus' name. Don't make me come through this phone, this camera. Can you tell them to go away? Because they interrupting our session.
Yeah. So gentlemen, I'm on live. Can we keep it down for me?
Please, guys.
I'm on live. Can you keep it down just a teeny bit? But yeah. So but yeah, it's this week has been very trying. I mean, you know what I mean? We have seen so much and we have experienced so much. And I don't mean to steal the show, but one of the issues that I've been talking about, as a matter of fact, I think you and I spoke earlier this week, in regards to the young lady, 16-year-old girl who got shot and killed. And I believe that was in Ohio.
Right.
And, as we look at what's going on, and as we look at, the state of our police in this country, it's so devastating. Now, let me say this before we even get into that conversation, because many people said that they did not, agree with me, and they said I was controversial. But I see it from both sides. I see it from the law enforcement side, but I also see it from the community side. And I think a lot of us, we're looking at this issue from an emotional point of view, rather than looking at it from the realistic.
Well, before we jump there, because we're not going to touch that just yet, sir, because that thing is too heavy for the beginning of our conversation. Praise God. There's several people watching. Welcome to the Aniya A Show, guys. So the first thing, let's talk about the guilty verdict, and then we're going to jump into why I think everybody is so emotional in regards to Ma'Khia Bryant. Were you happy about that guilty verdict, sir?
I was, overjoyed, because it's a victory, not just for the Floyd family, but it's a victory for people of color, because we have seen too many times where we are killed at the hands of the police, and there's no accountability, if you will.
Absolutely.
And so I was really excited when the verdict came down and he was found guilty on all charges.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why I took us back so we can go forward. Do you feel as though it's a retaliatory action, and that's why we're seeing all of our Black young men and women getting gunned down left, right, front, and center? That's something I want us to explore before we move forward. And where is Michael Thomas Sr., by the way? Did you tell him?
I didn't get a chance to call because I was so busy tied up. But I mean, I can reach out to him. As a matter of fact, I think when you play the commercial, I'll reach out to him, real
Perfect.
quickly.
Perfect. So let's continue about that verdict and how some people, including myself, feel as though there's a retaliatory action happening presently. But I want to know from you, what are your thoughts in regards to that?
Well, I mean, I think, as we move forward, there isn't, I would say that there is there is, a bit of, retaliation, but I think what we saw last week, or the week before, rather, you know, it gave us some sense of hope. It gave us some sense of hope that if you keep fighting, no matter how long it takes, if you believe in what you do, that somewhere, somehow, change will come. And I think we saw that. And, you know, and it's true, you know, you know, totality, on last week. So, I mean, I think we're moving, in the right direction. But while we got the verdict for one case, we also, I feel as though we got knocked back like 10 steps.
Yes, absolutely correct. And for those that are watching tonight and those that want to hear about what you have to say moving forward into, Dwayne Wright, Micaiah Bryant, I think we can start that conversation, then we'll take a quick commercial break. Finish up what you were saying, because I like how you left off and we are taking 10 steps back presently. Tell the people what you mean by that, and now we can talk a little bit about Miss Micaiah Bryant.
Because, when you look at, these cases, such as the Eric Gardner case and all these cases that was way before then. We as a people, we got no justice.
None.
The police has killed our loved ones, and there was no justice. There was no, you know, how should I put it? There was no, accountability, and there was nothing done. So I think with this verdict, with the George Floyd, I think that we sent a loud message, loud and clear. Because if I can be very transparent,
yes, sir,
I didn't think we was gonna get the verdict that we got.
Absolutely.
So I was kind of surprised because I thought as though it was going to be like another like slap in the face.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But I'm glad that the Lord anointed the judge and the jury to come to the verdict that they came to. So I'm excited.
And speaking of the judge, were you also in fear? Because I was afraid when they were trying to come after Auntie Maxine. What are your thoughts about that moment in time?
Well, in regards to Miss Maxine Waters' comment, I mean, I don't think that her comment would cause us to, because from the way the judge was saying it, he said that her comment may cause this case to be overturned, or like something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But which I highly doubt.
Absolutely.
Everybody have freedom of speech, and she didn't hurt nobody. She said what she felt.
Absolutely.
And she's entitled to say what she feels. So I don't think that whatever she said will have any bearing, on this case.
And keep speaking as I put away the furry human. Keep speaking on that right there.
Yeah. So I think we got to take we have to take a closer look at us as a people and what we have gone through. Because when this verdict came down, I mean, I almost literally wanted to, wanted to cry, because, this was a sign of relief. This was a sign of hope. And so I think that that's one of the things that we have to look at. And I mean, I was very optimistic. I mean, you know what I mean? I was praying, and hoping. So, you know what I mean? I'm really, you know, excited that we got the turnout that we got. Now, let me just say this too. Uh, that's one part of it.
Amen.
But now there is a second part, and that is we want to see, you know, what the judge is like going to give this guy. Because
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. We still have a whole entire many months to go. I think a few months before we get a real sentence for this bastard.
Right. And I think he goes back to court in May, I believe. And so, you know, we should not be so quick to rejoice just yet. You know what I mean? Because, you know, like, because too often I've seen, you know, so many cases where they are convicted of their crime, but yet they don't get the justice that they need to get.
Correct.
You know, and if I could just take you back just a few minutes.
Please do, sir.
I remember, I think that was this recent case of Officer Amber Geiger.
Amber Geiger, talk about it.
You know, she was another one of the Karens, you know what I mean, that we have to deal with. But when she shot this young man, he was sitting, you know, in his home, and it was pretty much a slap in the face.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we're not where we need to be, but I think with this verdict that we got on last week, it was a sign of hope and a sign of relief. So I'm excited.
I know that's right. At this time, we're going to take a quick break as I play an interview for all of you, because this really hits it close to home. By the way, today, right before I got on with you, I was sharing with the public that I spoke with a very dear friend of mine. He is like one of the biggest Pan-Africanists as well as leaders that we have. Yes, he's rather controversial in speech and in religious thought processes and things of that nature. However, this brother speaks truth to power. His name is Dr. Umar Johnson. And before I even do that, let me do this. I am going to edit this profile so that I can say here that I don't own the rights to this video. And then once this begins to play, I want you to give a call to our dear brother. Hold on, don't go yet, sir. I have to go ahead and put this commentary, because you know these people on Facebook, they like to shut people down. We're not going to let them do that in Jesus' name. I don't own the rights. Or is it the copyrights?
No, I don't own the rights to this music. To this
music video clip, right? I can do that?
Yeah.
Because it's a video clip. It says music, but it's not music. It's a video clip, and sometimes Facebook wants to act real cheesy. So real quick, I literally had the opportunity to speak with, you know, Umar Johnson earlier today. And, you know, people sometimes think the worst of him. I know him on a more personal level. I've known him for over a decade. And ironically enough, today was the first time we actually spoke, because many times we're messaging back and forth. And as you know, this brother is a very busy brother, and he had, you know, enough time to pick up my call today. And we spoke in depth about Haiti, about what's going on in the system, because his videos and his interviews have been popping up like crazy lately. Have you seen that, Brother Umar Johnson?
I've seen maybe like one or two, but I haven't.
This is the third one I've seen in less than a week. And I'm like, no, less than 2 days. And I'm like, what is happening here? So he's been getting interviewed on Charlemagne the God, you know, show. He's been all over the place. And at this time, we're about to play this video. We don't own the rights to this. We're gonna share the screen. Once I share the screen, let me just double check, make sure it'll be able to play. Yep, it looks like it'll be okay to play. I'm gonna need you, sir, to call our friend because I wanna get him on this conversational piece as well. So Dr. Umar Johnson is posing a very important question in this video. I had the chance and the opportunity to speak with him in Dutch today. And man of God, you can go ahead and silence your device and make that call, please, as we listen to Dr. Umar Johnson.
You signed I'm going to go to President Biden. President Biden, your first day of office, you signed an executive order to protect the life and safety of transgenders. I have no problem with that. But you did it on your first day. But he sat up here with you, Charlemagne, and told black people that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So if you went out of your way begging black people to vote for you, why haven't we got an executive order or any other activity coming out of the Oval Office from President Biden to protect black people from police? Look what he's doing with the anti-Asian hate. President Joe Biden signed an executive order that is exclusive to Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I don't have a problem with that. But if you can protect the Asian American and Pacific Islander from violence, why can't you do the same thing for black people?
Come on now.
They've been dealing with violence for 1 year.
1 year.
That's what it's called, the COVID-19 hate crimes bill, to protect Asians as a result of discriminatory treatment that they've been dealing with for how long?
1 year.
Black people have been catching hell for 400 years, and we have yet to get an executive order from Joe Biden to protect us from the police. So can I ask you a question? If the Senate was able to pass the anti-Asian hate crimes bill, Charlemagne and Indy, 96-1 with almost no opposition, why is it that the Emmett Till lynching bill still has not been approved? Why is it that there have been over 200 different anti-lynching bills introduced in the U.S. Congress? 200! And not one of them has been approved by the U.S. Congress yet. But the first ever Asian bill goes through on the first try. Look at the racism. Look at the discrimination. Look at the bias. Look at the inequity there. And why are they catering to the Asians? You know why? Because the amount of white people in this country is shrinking.
That's right.
And whenever the amount of white people in America shrinks, America looks to find other white groups or other minority groups that they can build an alliance with to protect their power and their interests. Who better than the Asians? They're just as conservative politically as many middle-class white Americans. They are just as economically comfortable as many middle-class white Americans. They don't like black people just as much as many middle-class white Americans. Not to mention that this can go a long way towards building relationships with Asian countries on the continent of Asia that America can afford to build an alliance with Russia. Let us be clear about something. The continent of Asia is a big problem for the U.S. government. You got 3 power nations on that continent. You got Russia, that America can't stand. You got China, that America can't control. And you got India, which is one of the fastest growing populations, and it is quickly becoming the IT giant of the world. Kamala Harris is not the vice president by accident. Kamala Harris is the vice president on purpose because America needed to send the nation of India an olive branch to improve their relations because America can't afford for India to get tight with China or Russia. This is politics. And they're going to use the Asians, okay, as probationary whites. They're going to upgrade them to probationary white status to make sure that they stay on the side of the white man and not go on the side of the black man. This Asian agenda is a distraction from the issues that are affecting black people. How do you sign an executive order for the transgenders, executive orders for the Asians? He has signed nothing for black people. And mind you, Indy and Charlemagne, there have been at least 5 notable police terrorism cases on Joe Biden's watch. You had the 16-year-old sister who was shot 4 or 5 times with the knife. And I don't want nobody to tell me that the police would justify.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. The 5, her. And then you have Officer Nazario, the African Latino brother who was harassed by the police in his car.
The lieutenant.
You had the brother 17-year-old boy murdered by the police in the bathroom in Knoxville, Tennessee. The other brother in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, who was shot in the execution of a warrant. And I'm missing some, Dante Wright, who was murdered, and she thought it was a taser. Tasers don't look like guns. Tasers don't feel like guns. They don't weigh the same as guns. And there's no way under heaven you accidentally thought a taser was a gun. But again, 5 cases, and the president still has not acted. The same president that told the Breakfast Club that if you black and don't vote for me, you ain't black. Well, why haven't you done anything for black people yet, Joe Biden? I'm gonna go to President Biden. President
All right.
Biden,
All right. All right.
You signed
All right. Y'all heard it loud and clear from the one and only, oh my God, the Breakfast Club. Whereas our dearest one, the one and only Dr. Umar Johnson, was able to break it down for all of you this evening. He makes so much sense. A lot of people are not on board with Dr. Umar Johnson because of who he is and because of his power. But I'm here to let you know I am one of his biggest fans. And I'm not like one of these people that's a fan. I know him personally. I can call him right now and get him on the phone because we have that type of dynamic relationship because I've known him for over a decade. Thank you all for your comments and your love. Please share. We're talking about some really important issues on our Motivational Monday Moments here. And you just heard from Dr. Umar Johnson that's calling out President Joe Biden. And honestly, I'm here for it. And honestly, I'm here for anybody that's pro the Black movement. But what I want to say is this. We as a Black people, again, have to stop hurting each other. Like, that is not the most popular thing to say. Matter of fact, whenever I do say that, you know, some people take offense and then others are like, Aniya, how can you say that when the real issue is not the Black people? It's all of the, you know, hate against us. And it's all of the police that are coming against us and things of that nature. Now, this is where I beg to differ. We know that there's racism out there, right or wrong. Hands up, send love, send hearts, etc. We know that the racism is real. We know about racism in America because that's what it is. But why I share that Black people need to stop hurting each other is because we are a dying breed. Although we keep multiplying, that's great, but we're not getting the respect and the justice that we desire and we deserve because, my people, we are always at the bottom of the totem pole. And right now we're at a place in our lives that we have to be more strategic. We have to be much more helpful towards one another. We have to stop hurting each other, fam. We have to be able to say enough is enough. Dr. Umar Johnson is a personal friend. And one of the things that he talks about his education is improvement of the community, of resources and things like that. And that's one of the things that we have to continue to push as a community. See, the reason in my mind, a lot of young people especially are doing the things that they're doing and they're acting out of pocket and doing, you know, these crimes, committing these crimes, etc., is because there are no resources for them. However, that should not be an excuse. I'm all about the proactivity. I'm all about each one, teach one, love one, share with one, you know, give back to one, paying it forward. We can no longer utilize the excuse that the resources are not there. And that's why the young people and all of these people in general are hurting each other. I do not stand up for that type of behavior or that mentality because it's not fair. It's not fair that our people are hurting each other so much. And I say that because once we start working together more as a community and as a people, etc., I feel then we will garner the respect of those white communities, of those Asian communities. Not that we're fishing for anybody's, you know, approval, not that we're fishing for anybody's respect, but we need to respect ourselves. We need to stop hurting each other. That is something that needs to happen ASAP. So tonight, as we discuss the issues at hand, as we discuss the killings that have been taking place more rapidly than ever before, my desire is for us to really talk about how we can stop the hate how we can stop the crime, the criminal activity. What can we do to strategize and make our worlds a better place? The reason being is because we are losing the people very rapidly. We are losing the people at a number that is out of control. And if the killings continue, and if the people continue to carry on the way they have been as of late and moving forward, our population is going to decline even more. So tonight, I want you all to do me a favor and talk with your community members, talk with the people around you, share that you know that they have issues. We all have issues. None of us are perfect, but we have to be able to say that we love ourselves so much. We love our brothers and sisters so much that we are willing to go above and beyond for each other. Why are we hurting each other? I don't know. I don't have those answers. But what I do know is that enough is enough. And what I also know is that the community must continue to show each other love and stop the hate. Because if we continue like this, we are going to decline even further. Welcome back to the Aniya A Show. And on this Monday motivational moment, we have the one and only Mr. Michael Thomas Sr., who is a leader, who is amazing. And I wanted him, well, actually, Peter Zaquan Jones wanted him, and I concurred, to be a part of this platform because he has a lot of experience and he has a lot of information that he can share with all of us in regards to the cases that just took place. But furthermore, I want to hear his opinions live. Welcome, Mr. Michael Thomas Sr. Welcome back, King.
How are you?
I'm great. I haven't heard from you. My phone lines have been blowing up all day, all night. I'm sorry you haven't heard from me. It's been one thing after another, sir. I'm just so happy that you made it onto this platform. For everybody that's calling real quick, let me just share again that I'm live on 7 different platforms presently. And this interview tonight, this Monday motivational moment is very important for us in the community. So I will get back with you as soon as we're done with Mr. Mentor and the senior chaplain of the NYPD, Peter Zaquan Jones. So, King, first of all, before we jump back in, tell us how you feel tonight, sir. Tell us how you feel.
Well, you know, I've been feeling this way, you know, ever since the George Floyd, you know, what happened to him, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and I can go, you know, on and on, Tamir Rice, Sarah Bland, Terrence Crutcher, Walter Scott, you know, and it seems like it won't stop, but I was, you know, about the type of report, but when you know, when Peter called, I stopped doing what I'm doing. When he gave me the call, I put that on hold. But it's very disturbing and it's very sad. And like I've been telling people, we didn't get no justice with George Floyd. All we got was accountability.
Facts.
Okay, people don't understand the dynamics of what's going on. Yeah, he got convicted, but this is the key part which our people are not paying attention to. It's the sentencing that's gonna matter.
Right.
When this judge sentenced him, because you know he can serve the rest of his life in jail, or this judge could give him 10 to 12 years in jail. Okay, and I doubt very seriously if he's going to give him the max on all 3. So we may be looking at a white devil that might be back on the street and see a lot of our people rejoice. I didn't rejoice because, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why I didn't rejoice, because George Floyd is not coming home. So it wasn't no rejoicing for me for that. I mean, if George Floyd, and he got convicted and George Floyd was, you know, coming home, I would be, you know, rejoice and celebrate. There's no celebration for me. I mean, I was talking to someone today and I said, you know what, I think we should do a rerun of Roots and play it up to today to let people, you know, let's revise it and bring it up to date, because this shit don't stop. I was in there watching CNN now with the execution of this other guy in North Carolina, Brown. They shot him in the back of the head while his hands was on the steering wheel. This was an execution. And
when was this?
Come on, y'all better get out the mustard and catch up. You know, this happened last month. And if you watch CNN now, Big Trump and all of them went down there, and Mama Gwen is down there right now, and they won't release the video of the shooting. And let me tell you why, because North Carolina, and this is the state where it has to be a court order from the judge to say you can release the video. But what they did do today, they showed Ben Crump and the family snippets, 20 seconds. But what's so amazing, they showed Mr. Brown's face, but they blurry the faces of the cops out. Now, what people don't know, 7 of these deputies already retired. Okay, 3 of them resigned. And this is why we got to get this George Floyd bill passed, because it will take away qualified immunity from police. It will take away these cops being able to resign.
Keep talking, Michael. Keep talking, Michael the mentor.
Okay.
I'm putting away the furry human.
Okay, it will take away the qualified immunity, would also take away them being able to go to another police department, getting another job. But this bill is sitting on the desk and the Republicans don't want to sign off on it. So the president and the Democrats might have to do this with no help from the Republicans, because all of this stuff is just a cover up where they want to keep covering up for the police to murder us. And I mean, resisting arrest is not a death sentence. And I say this all the time. Okay, the police are trained to de-escalate, not assassinate. Okay, and they do it all the time. And it's such a big cover up for for them to get away with the stuff they do. Okay, and they letting them get away with it, and we have to do something about it. But let me just change the narrative a little bit. It was 15 shootings over the weekend. We had about 6 or 7 young Black men get killed. And I always say this, we cannot be outraged when the police kill us, and we be apathetic when we killing each other.
That's right.
You look in the communities, you had a 15-year-old that got killed by a 16-year-old. You had a 17-year-old killed by a 16-year-old. I was talking to Chief Harrison the other day when we was at the Barclays Center, and when she was talking, I was like, my God, I get the paper every day because I'll make my boards. And I mean, I got so much articles on the crimes going on in the community. It's unconscionable. You had 2 young men get killed downtown Fort Greene in the projects. We had 2 young men killed in Brooklyn and Canarsie. Yesterday, we had a shooting in Brownsville where they were shooting at each other, 15 and 16 years old. So it's crazy. We dealing with that killing, but we also got to make sure we deal with the stuff that's affecting us in the community. So these are the things that I'm outraged with. And I mean, I'm looking, and I mean, these devils, and that's all the hell they are, is devils. Now, let me just tell you about policing. Everybody can't do their job. And I did a Zoom with people, and I told them, if you don't have the courage to stand in the line of danger, I'm not saying stand and get yourself killed, but it takes courage to do these jobs, and a lot of these white boys don't have the courage. Now let me go to the young girl, Malika, that got killed. And we had this is what the Zoom was about. I fought the father and all of them grown people that was standing outside when these girls was fighting. You're the father, you see your child with a knife in her hand, the police is on their way. What the hell were you doing? See, our people think when we call the cops, they're gonna show up with empathy and compassion for us. Hell no. Did you?
Absolutely, preach, sir. Preach.
When I used to work, you get a call, an EDP, emotionally disturbed person. So you think the cops are coming and they're gonna show discretion, humanity, and compassion? Hell no. But you know what the first thing that goes through their mind? If you calling me on your loved one and you scared of him, what the hell you think the cop gonna be when him or her get there? And no, you already scared of your loved one. They're not gonna show that at all. And let me just say this, and I say it all the time to my people. Whenever a weapon is involved and the cops come up on the scene, but this is the key part that I detected, and I got a lot of praise for a lot of people to understand that. When them young girls was fighting and the cops pulled up, nobody didn't even think of this, but by me, doing what I used to do, I knew it. If them cops would have pulled up right away with them sirens, that young girl would have dropped that knife. They just pulled up and didn't put on a siren. You know why? How do you kill your enemy? The element of surprise. People People at war, they don't go, I'm coming over the wall. Element of surprise. That's how you kill your enemy.
They wanted somebody dead.
That's why they didn't pull up with the sirens on the same way when they killed Tamir Rice. You don't pull up and get out the car in 10 seconds and shoot a young man. If you would have pulled up with the sirens on, now you alert them, and that young girl would have dropped that weapon and she wouldn't be dead now. But we can't bring her back. But our people got to use better judgment when they out here in the street doing stuff, thinking cops gonna show empathy. It's not gonna happen.
Well, let me just interject and say, this is why I'm happy you're here, because one of the first things you tackled, and I want everybody to catch this, one of the first things you tackled, King, is the mere fact that literally our people need to stop hurting each other. I'm so freaking sick and tired. You know, I had a conversation with a sister just the other day. We were in our office and we were in the conference room and I was drained. I was like, I'm tired of being Black. I'm not tired of living. I'm not tired of, you know, being a part of this earth, you know, realm. I'm just tired of the skin color and I'm tired of the mentality of our people. That's here locally and that's overseas, especially in regards to Haiti. As you all know, I've been fighting for that cause, which sometimes feels endless and hopeless. I'm tired of waking up every day and there's 5, 6, 7, 20, 30 of us dead. At the rate that we're going, we are becoming extinct. We are becoming extinct. And my hope and my desire is to see the mentality of our people change. Now, whether or not that's going to happen anytime soon, I don't know. But I swear sometimes I feel like we are a cursed and demented people. The way that we hurt each other is unconscionable, like you say, brother. Like you say, I don't understand how every single freaking day, not only, because like I say it all the time, we know white racists are white racists. We know those executionists that are doing what they're doing, they are white supremacists. We knew that agenda from day one. We're not oblivious. But my God, when you have a 16-year-old killing a 15-year-old, or when you have, you know, the hood, you know, killing each other. I just had a Wild Wild West shootout here down the block from me in the BX. And I was like, well, damn, how did I miss that? But I'm glad I did. 40 rounds, casings everywhere, 1 dead, 2 shot, 1 on the way to the mosque. Can you imagine you on your way to go pray somewhere and then you get hit in the arm with a whole bullet? And they have to do investigations like for 4 days straight. The streets were blocked off. Why though? Because they had to figure out which gun did which killing, which gun did which shooting, because the guys did not stop shooting, even though the young man that they were targeting was dead. They kept shooting at the police.
Well,
Young, Black, and stupid.
This has to do with a lot with this revolving door, the recidivism rate, with this bail reform. See, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for. We complaining about a lot of young Black men being incarcerated and being locked up. But when that door, I just had a young man that 17 years old, got released 4 times. He got caught with a gun on 4 different occasions within a 2-month span. Now it took for him to shoot somebody where the Fed said, all right, enough. Now the Fed stepped in and clamped them down. But this is what's happening. That the reason why the crime rate is so high, one, because of the COVID, they're not trying to stack the jails and the prisons with the people because of the COVID, but they letting these people out. The reason why the crime is so high, these young boys know, well, if I get caught with a gun, all right, I'm gonna go in front of the judge, they're gonna release me. So when they lock them up and take that gun, what the hell you think they're gonna do? They're gonna get back in the street, they're gonna get another gun. So we putting it in the hands of them, okay, we're gonna hold them when they kill somebody. And that's basically where it is right now. But let me just say this to my people. Once you have a weapon and the police pull up, you just open Pandora's box for them, because you know what they saying? No matter how this goes, this weapon is going to justify my actions. Okay. And that's what happened to that young girl, Malika. If he want, when I saw that, I was upset because I was like, okay, you telling her down, down, down. That's not no command. You're supposed to say, police, freeze, drop that weapon. If I'm behind you and I go, get down, what kind of verbal commands is that for you to understand? That could have been anybody in the crowd talking to you.
Absolutely.
But if
and
you
she
say
was already afraid for her safety because they were jumping her, which is a whole nother conversation that the senior chaplain, Peter Zaquan Jones and Aniya had, which again, we don't know the backstory. And I'm glad that you're pointing that out. And we have to address that. Remember, she was in defense mode. There were fighting, situations happening prior. She was threatened. So therefore, and then what I didn't know before was that they were like a part of a foster care family or what have you. However, it seemed as though initially that young girl was defending herself on her property because they said that they came to her house. So with all intents and purposes, she had the right to defend herself, whatever that looked like. However, you're right about the commands. You're right about the sirens, because right now we're in a time frame where it's shoot to kill. It's not let's ask questions. It's not innocent till proven guilty. It's we hate Black people. We don't do this to white people, because when Dylan Roof shot up a church, he got a burger with extra fries and a McFlurry or whatever the hell.
But you got to remember this: once the cops pull up on the scene, they don't know who's who. It could have
absolutely.
It could have been handled differently, but like I said, why was the father outside seeing his daughter with a knife in her hand and know the cops were on their way? He should have took charge, took that knife out of his daughter's hand, tried to get in the house and said, "You made the call, the cops to come and keep." He should have kept in the house until the cops arrived. But even if he didn't do that, you had grown-ups out there. If you looked at the video, he stomped a female in the head.
What?
Yeah, the father, when she was fighting, instead of taking charge, getting that knife out of his daughter's hand, when the cops kill his daughter, he gonna say, "Oh, you shot my daughter." What the hell were you doing when she was out there fighting? You should have got that weapon from her. So I fought him, and I fought all grown people when we see kids, and I'm not saying intervene and get yourself hurt, but if that's your child, your child ain't gonna stab you with the doggone knife. So you gotta you get in the way of somebody else's child with a knife, maybe they may stab you, but your own child is not gonna stab you. You gotta get that knife out of her hand. You can't expect the police to show up and give you humanity, empathy, or whatever, which they have none anyway when they patrol in our areas. They're not coming into our areas like that. They coming in here to kill you. You give them an opportunity to kill you, they're gonna do it. They want to kill us. They want to kill us anyway. So can you imagine with a knife in your hand? I did today, and I'm a little tired. I did a Know Your Rights today for this organization to teach young men and women,
congratulations,
people your age and my age, how to comport themselves with the police. These are the things we have to know, but sometimes we comply and we still die. But we have to understand the dynamics as Black people to stay alive, to live another day, so we could comply and complain later. And we don't know your rights, and you don't understand what's going to happen. These kids were so in tune. It was amazing how they were like, okay, Mr. Mentor, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. Okay. And even in the Bible, God said, "My people shall perish for lack of knowledge."
Lack of knowledge.
We have to train and prepare our people how to deal with the police as we speak. Because if you get involved in situations like that and you don't know how to get yourself, you're going to die. You got to die. We're going to die. Our people, we have to do better as people. Yeah, sure, the cop could have handled it differently. But when I first saw them arrive and he didn't put on that siren, if that siren was on, that young lady would drop that knife automatically.
Right. Absolutely.
He didn't do it. He snuck up on her. He just pull up. Who pulls up? The police come to a disturbance. Who pulls up without not even having a siren on? Unheard of.
Not even drop your weapon. Not police, freeze.
He could have did that. He could have did that right over the loudspeaker in the car as he pulled up. He chose not to do it. He wanted to kill that young girl. And
they were standing far away enough for that knife to not even penetrate. And don't they wear bulletproof vests anyway?
Yeah, but he didn't shoot the young lady because she was trying to hurt them. He shot her to protect the other
girl. But again, like you're saying, none of that makes sense when he had every way to stop that from occurring. It's almost like you're going to pretend like you didn't have another option, sir. Really? Let
me say this. Right then and there, he made a split-second decision, okay? And under the law, he has a right to preserve her life and protect his own life, okay? He shot her 4 times. But what people don't know what this is, when you have training like that, you're taught now, just let this resonate. He hit her 4 times, what was good. But can you imagine if he would have killed the girl she was trying to stab to? You don't shoot like that right there. That was a split decision, but he could have possibly killed her and the girl that she was trying to stab and somebody else. So he wanted to play the hero role. Okay, I could tell from the way he shot, he was a good shoot, because you can tell when you go to the range, when somebody, you know, shoot like that. Usually you ever see cops shoot and bullets go everywhere and other people get hit?
Yep.
He was shot. So, I mean, we got a 16-year-old girl dead because of lack of communication, for people not taking charge and teaching that this violence is not the way. We have to come up with better ways of diffusing situations among ourselves. And that was what my Know Your Rights was today too, about all the young people. And I showed the video to them. We watched the whole video of her getting killed. Now, how could this have been prevented? And they were so good at it, because see, sometimes our young people don't understand the dynamics of what they're getting into when they saw that death there. Okay, but then also we looked at the George Floyd video too. Okay, God rest his soul, George Floyd did everything right, and he still died.
Just like Philando Castile. I mean,
He did
there's so many of them.
right. He
So
did
they
everything.
can't even use any example. Eric Garner was selling Lucy's.
Did everything right, but see, and don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming the victim, okay? But let's just go back with Eric Gardner. And when I was with Ms. Gwen on that one too, and when I did seminars with that, they choked Eric Gardner to death. But sometimes, and I tell all my people like this, you cannot hold court with a police officer in the street. That's why we have courts to handle that for you. Now, going back to Eric Gardner, and he was upset. He said, no, I'm tired of y'all. It's not going to happen today. Leave me alone. But now let's just change it. And remember, I'm not blaming Eric Gardner. He was upset. But could you just imagine if Eric Gardner would say, you know what, I'm tired of y'all effing with me, put his hands behind his back, and they would have cuffed him? You understand what I'm saying? He didn't do that. Okay. And he gave him a reason and opportunity to attack him. We cannot do that. And it's easy to say, but sometimes it's hard as hell to do, because you get tired. And Eric Gardner was tired of them messing with them. They supposed to control the narrative, but they don't. So as Black people, we have to control the narrative. The police job is to de-escalate, communicate, but not assassinate. Okay? That's what we're supposed to do, and everybody don't do it well. You can't expect police to come in your community and show empathy, humanity, and discretion. You cannot police my community if you don't understand my community.
That's a fact.
You cannot police my community unless you have love for my community. You can't police my community unless you have humanity for my community. And they bring these white boys in here that don't have that.
They're not even from the community, and they never wanted to be a part.
Right. So when you come in my community and you don't understand my culture, how the hell you gonna police it? Okay. Sometimes you see I had an opportunity to address a lot of roll calls, the 73rd, the 69 and 77. And when I went in there and I told them, you see a bunch of young men on the corner, you ready to hop out the car, figuring somebody got a gun and something is going on. You can't, you just can't do that. You don't know what's going on. But the same way with that Army vet, the lieutenant that they snatched out the car. Now, get out the car. Now, if you watch that video, we dissected that too. That Army general, he did everything right. The only thing to me he did wrong was not getting out the car. And I tell people this all the time. If you don't get out the car, what the next damn thing you think they're gonna do? They're gonna drag you out the car. Okay, he put his hands up. What's going on now? Let's talk about de-escalating the situation. If the officers would have said, sir, I respect the uniform, do me a favor, just step out the car till we figure this out, what's going on, and then you be on your way. Situation over. They don't know how to do that type of training. And when you don't know how to articulate, then you go to assassinate. And well, we have to stop that.
Well, may I just interject and say too, remember, for those that are watching, you're watching the Aniya A show and you're listening to our dear brother, Mr. Michael the Mentor, who is a leader, who is a father, who is amazing. He's also a motivational speaker, and he goes into the community and shares and gives back to the youth, especially. What I wanted to share in regards to that dynamic is the mere fact that with the police doing what they just did, for example, to this brother, is literally the same thing that happened to Philando might have happened to him. However, he had that uniform on. One thing that people have to understand, and again, I know when I say this, I'm not going to win an Emmy, a Grammy, a Tony, or an Oscar. If I do, God bless me. But typically, people like me don't win not a goddamn thing because we're so vocal. Remember, we have a situation now, Michael Thomas Sr., whereas the boys in blue, the white boys, they feel like they're losing. I just played a video clip of Dr. Umar Johnson talking about it clearly. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing spoke about this in the 60s about why they hate us so much and how they're not reproducing. They're not reproducing as quickly as us. They are being outnumbered. Any drop of Black blood constitute them, the race as having Black DNA and things like that. And this is very upsetting for a lot of, the boys in blue. So how do they feel like they can keep their power and position? Well, they go around killing the hell out of us because that's the only thing that they feel empowered to do. Furthermore, let me just add that Reverend Dr. now Professor Al Sharpton just said this past week at the National Action Network in the House of Justice, I think, where he stated something to the effect of, let's not forget how policing really started. Let's not forget that policing started to catch niggas, literally. And what people don't understand, which Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton made it so freaking clear this past week, was not only that's how policing essentially started, but you also have the flip side to that, where anybody that caught a Negro was able to do basically whatever the hell they wanted with that Negro. When you're white, you're in charge. When you're Black, you have to just submit and just give them all the power. And what people have failed to realize throughout this time is the more power we've gotten and the higher we've come, and the more amazing we are as a people collectively and individually, it infuriates the opposite race because they're like, how the hell did you go from cleaning my crap off of my shoes to now owning a pair of shoes? But wait, you don't just own a pair of shoes, you own a lot of Nikes, and now you want to own a home, and you want to have real estate, and you want to own vehicles. When did this happen? And if people really think about what's happening, that's how the anger continues to perpetuate in the community. And that's why it's a war. But funny enough, every other ethnic group that have gone through this, they kind of are getting along to get along. But we as Black people, we are still subjected to the hatred because they pass, whereas we'll never pass.
Nothing is going to change with policing. Since George Floyd got killed, we had 5 killed young Black men and females. If this bill don't get passed, it's going to continue to happen. See, the only way you're going to stop them from killing us is when they know they're going to go to jail. Now,
absolutely.
Now you can't pay your mortgage. You can't do Billy and Queenie's tuition and stuff like that. Now we start taking food out of their mouth. They start losing their jobs and everything. Then they'll go out there and police. If you notice, a lot of police are leaving these jobs now because they just can't do what they want anymore.
Thank you, Lord. Let me put on some of this lip color. Hold on. Yes, talk.
And they upset for the fact that, okay, we out in the streets, we using our First Amendment right to gather and protest peacefully, okay, and everything. So they can't get away with, okay, killing us and lynching us. Like I said, what happened to George Floyd was a modern day lynching. The only thing he didn't do, he used his knee instead of a rope.
Absolutely.
That's all he did. So we have to stand firm, and we have to each one teach one, reach one. And it's so important for us to learn how to comport ourselves and know our rights. Let me just tell you this. Last week, from the law firm that I'm associated with, I gave out $250,000 between Brownsville and Bed-Stuy checks to young men that were stopped and searched by the cops. Their Fourth Amendment rights was violated. Okay, that's why anybody on here that don't know, I'm glad we got the 50A, which Miss Gwen Carr was a big part, Mama Gwen was a big part of getting past the 50A, which means now is that if you ever notice how when they kill a black man or female, or they lock us up, they try to dehumanize us by bringing up our past history and stuff.
That's what they did with George Floyd.
Right, but under 50A, now we can bring up everything that the cops got and they
Wow.
So for that case, people listening don't know what the 50A passing was. That's what it does. Now we can bring up how many use of forces he had, how many complaints he had, and everything. So that's good. But what our people also don't do, cops do stuff to us. We don't file complaints. We don't do nothing. We let them go. But when they get us, they take their time to do the paperwork, to put you through the system and everything. So we have to remember, we have to fight to get this John Lewis and this George Floyd Police Reform Act passed. Because if we don't, they're going to keep on killing us because nothing is going to stop them. Once you take away, okay, people don't know what's holding up the bill is this. The Republicans saying, if we pass this bill, we don't want you to be able to go into civil court and sue the cop personally. They want you to only be able to sue the police department. But the Democrats will say, no, we want this bill passed, but what we want in this bill is we want to be able to sue the city and sue the cop too. And that's what I'm for too. And I say this to all law enforcement officers out there. If you're doing your job and you're doing it the right damn way, what are you worrying about? You got body cameras, men lie, women lie, videotapes and cameras don't lie. So if that camera is going to be there to protect you and you're using it the right way, what's the problem?
What's the problem?
Now you're gonna start policing the right way when you know if I pull this trigger, if I do this and do this wrong, I can possibly lose my house, lose my pension, lose my car. Then we'll have policemen. Don't get me wrong, you're still gonna get them white boys to figure they could do what they want anyway. But we gotta get this bill passed. It has to be passed, and we fighting this in the Senate, and we fighting, and we gotta stand firm, and we gotta keep fighting till we get it.
Absolutely. We have a couple of comments. Sorry, I missed the previous comments. This conversation is so deep and it's imperative for such a time like this. So Robin Clanton says, I spread the live and love. I love you, Robin. Thank you. She says, hello, Mr. Michael. Hello. Yay. That's a bunny for you, Mr. Michael. Yes. All right. And then, yes, this happened right here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The NAACP wanted the sheriff to resign. And then, yeah, she lives like 45 minutes away. That's imperative to know that this type of activity is happening all over the US. And again, I think it's a spiritual battle that we're in. As we know, we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities. It's against spiritual warfare that we're dealing with. Funny enough, all last week, while you were giving away $250,000 checks, son, listen, I'm gonna need to get on that team because I need a check or 10. Amen. Congratulations to those winnings though, and really paying it forward. And you know what I hope to see though is that our young people invest their money, spend their money wisely. If we could partner up with them and try to help them educate themselves in a way to get financially astute. I have a financial planner and advisor for them, right in, within a very reputable bank, been around for over 200 years type deal. Everything I do is on the up and up because our Black people, the minute they get a check, they buy in, steaks and, Nikes. And we need them to invest in their future. So let's talk about that offline for sure, sir. And then I have the Economic Crisis Initiative every Wednesday where we bring people together to really empower each other to learn investment strategies, etc., and to not be afraid of saving for the future. So that's one. Two, what we see here is a spiritual warfare. What we see is a battle against the people because, again, we have come so far, but we haven't gone that far enough because we're still in the same place. So when I tell you last week while you were out here giving out these checks, I was out here trying to figure out my next moves in regards to the Haitian community, for example, all of the issues that I've been battling with and the community up in just complete wreckage, you know, when it comes to personalities and interpersonal relationships, etc. And Michael Thomas Sr., I kid you not, I kept ministering because this is something I've been feeling for weeks on weeks. And it was that word. We're not fighting against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities. It's against dark forces. It's against wickedness. And I said it at the table at dinner on Thursday amongst our peers. And then Saturday morning, Reverend Al Sharpton says it again about we are not fighting against, you know, humans and you know, flesh and blood. It's like this principle, it's dark forces. And sometimes I feel like while these things are happening and these fights are taking place, it's only to try to prevent us from getting to the next level. So I wanted us to close out tonight. Of course, I want you to share your information, how people can stay in contact with you and anything else you have to say. But I want people to hone in as to why we go through so much, so freaking much as a Black people. And when I say us, I mean all of us as Black people. I have a deeper fight and a more personal fight that I go through with the country of Haiti, with the first free Black nation. We know that France and the United States and all these other superpowers do not want Haiti to progress and proceed into greatness. And that's why that strenuous activity continues to happen with the guns being infiltrated, etc. However, I want people to understand that the more we try to work together is the better we will have our outcomes and our futures. But Michael Thomas Sr., what would you like to say to close us out, to empower the people, you know, to help us to see that fighting each other is not the look? Black people, especially young Black men, you're dying too quickly and rapidly.
Well, you know, my whole thing is, you know, like former law enforcement, you know, community advocate, activist, you know, Mr. Mentor, you know, everything that I do, I preach it. You know, Black men are becoming extinct. We're going to be like endangered species soon, you know, and if we don't get it together now, it's never, you know, we never going to get it together. And like I tell them, right now, you're getting locked up with these guns. Once you get a felony charge, you can't get no city, state, federal government job.
Absolutely.
You can't go into the armed forces. And now when you get older and you become mature and you meet that beautiful young lady and you want to start a family, you can't get a job. And like I tell all my young men, and when you meet that lady, you're going to start talking about the white man, it's the white man that. She's going to tell you, I don't know about the white man, but I know about the light man and the gas man.
Hey, that part.
And the pamper man. Love don't pay bills, it give you thrills. But for all of the ladies that's listening, after a while, everything could be good, but what you bringing to the table?
Facts.
Okay? If you don't have nothing to bring to the table, and these are the things that's happening, but let's just start. We know how all of this started with the police because of the last administration. We had that demagogue gave them the right to feel empowered, and this is just nothing but leading on from what he did. But our people have to unite and have to come together. One of the most powerful weapons that our people have to learn, and that's why I go around preaching it and teaching it. All of the money I told you that I gave out, these was young men up under my training and listening. They did everything. Sir, I'm complying, but I'm not consenting. When you tell that officer, him or her, you complying, but you're not consenting, what that does is I'm complying because I don't want to get locked up. But from this point on, I'm not giving you consent. Anything else you do, I didn't give you consent to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you do that, then you give me the information I need. Some of these lawsuits took a year or 2 or 3. I got a young man, and I don't want to be in all night because I could go on and on with this.
Take your time. Take your time, sir.
He made the Olympic boxing team. He's 6'7". He just had a fight the other day. I went to the fight. He knocked the guy out in the first round. 6'7", 270 pounds natural. He was coming out the liquor store one night in Brownsville. So all of the DTs jumped out on him. Remembering my training, what I told him, now he's a big kid. He goes, sir, I didn't do nothing. Told him to put his hands behind his back. He put his hands behind his back because he said something to the cops. They threw him through the liquor store window. Glass and everything broke. Crazy. They try to sweep it under the rug. He got all information I got. So he's going to be compensated. But we have to realize that we get this information and we do what we need to do. Is it going to stop it? No. But we have to hold them accountable. Just because I live in the hood don't mean I'm ignorant. We got people that live in the hood that got a better education than some people that live in other areas.
Yes, sir.
Don't judge me by where I live. So
Absolutely.
these are the learn as people how to deal with the police. That's the only way we're going to win this. Does it work all the time? No.
Nope.
But that's how we have to deal with the people. So I just want to say, ending on my part, that we have to learn our rights. That's why I told you, and I ate them, know your rights. The seminars, they so important for our people that our people don't know what to do. And one of the things I'm gonna say this, that I always tell people now, I can't blame, and I don't even know how to say this, if somebody running from the police, they got a gun, because they're gonna figure this, oh, if I stand here and they get me, I'm gonna go to jail anyway. I can't blame nobody that's running from the police that got a warrant, but I do say this. When you run from the police, it's called a thing that's called contempt of cop, which means is this. I want everybody to remember what I just said. It's called contempt of cop, which means, oh, you gonna run from me? When I catch you, nigga, I'm gonna beat your ass. I give an order, you don't wanna listen to me, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. That's what's called contempt of cop, which means if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna beat your ass, I'm gonna kill you. So when you run from the police, or you don't comply, we don't know what officer we dealing with. We don't know if we dealing with the officers that shot Sean Bell. We don't know we dealing with the officer that killed Tamir Rice, Terrence Crutcher. I can go on and on, Walter Scott. So my advice is, if you see Deontay Wright, how he got killed, right? Because that officer should be written up, because you're taught the first thing you do when you do a car stop is you stop the car, you tell the person, cut the car off, put the keys on top of the dashboard. If they don't have keys, if they got the push start, you make sure that car's off. When you take that person out of that car, you take him and her and you move them to your side, then you place yourself by the door where they can't get back in the car. So that was the first mistake. But sometimes you just got to stand there and take your medicine. If he would have just stood there, and I'm not blaming the victim, they would have locked him up, he would be alive. But when you put yourself in armed ways, when she go, oh, taser, 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 still, I don't believe you, because I know damn well from all the training I got, you know the taser different from a Glock. Come on, just the weight on it. And it's always on your weak side. Okay, she took the taser off her left side, which means that's your weak shooting hand. The Glock is on your right side, your strong hand. So that right there was no mix up to me. I think she meant to kill a young man, because you got to remember, when you make the white man angry, they're going to deal with you. When you police him, whenever you let your ego supersede your job duties, things like this will always happen.
And what did I just say? They're very upset right now, Michael Thomas Sr., because, okay, imagine we used to clean their children's asses. We used to, let them sleep with us any minute they wanted. We had no rights at all. We're still 3/5 of a human. And I think they play off of that, because we really technically don't have full rights as a whole human being. But then again, it's a spiritual warfare that we're in. So Black people, listen up, do what is right. Like Michael likes to say, comply and complain later. Michael has a lot of little techniques and a lot of little sayings that I try to say, and I mess up sometimes.
Another thing, I tell people this, our people talk too much. When the cops stop you, him or her, okay, they ask you for your identification, license, registration, or whatever. If they stop you on the street, ask you for ID, okay, you give it to them, and then you invoke your Fifth Amendment right. You don't remember this, a cop is never talking to you to help you. They talking to you to gain information from you to help them.
Also, because let me ask you this too, Michael, is it not true, and hold that thought real quick, that they have quotas they have to make? Like
definitely
people,
quotas.
if you remember that alone, you know that these are real things. Quotas are like a thing for officers. So if you understand that mindset going in, like, that's why I personally don't drive anymore, Michael Thomas Sr., because I should have been dead a long time ago, not from a car crash, but from one of these knucklehead officers trying to kill me on the side of the road because I speed like you don't want to know. And I have been pulled over so many times. And there were times that I felt like my life was in danger dealing with these rednecks, especially down in South bloody freaking Florida. And I'm glad my license has been taken away because I have a speed foot. I'm a speed devil. So like, but when you have that power on that foot, you know, in a car, like you're always going to be pulled over. You're always going to end up in situations. Now, back in the day when I was still driving, it was not like this. We had a little bit more rights and freedom, but my God, they have a quota. Officers are literally on a payroll, and I don't know all the ins and outs because I'm not a freaking cop, but I know for a fact that they are paid to make sure they put your asses in jail to keep these bills paid. In America, KKK.
Okay, but this was happening in the 5 boroughs. Okay, it's a quota, and what they don't tell you, sometimes I'm in commanding officers, you know, in the precincts in the room. I see the board. I'm familiar with the board. I know what it is. You may see all the arrests, whatever. You could look in the precinct. You may see 1,000 arrests for the month, but what they don't tell you, maybe 800 of them arrests are bullshit, but the numbers don't change.
It don't matter what kind of arrest, as long as it's arrest.
As long as they make that quota, it don't matter. You get people, okay, that get a lot of cases thrown out, but them numbers don't change. They stay there. So it's a quota. Okay, they tell you it's not a quota, but it's definitely a quota. But now the money, the cops down here is going to get paid regardless, okay, because they get paid by our tax paying dollars from the city. Now let's talk about the other parts of the country, like Suffolk County, Nassau County. These are counties. So that money goes directly into the county, okay? Whereas out here where I'm at, if a cop violates somebody's Fourth Amendment rights or do all the stuff like they doing in the 5 boroughs, and we have one of them meetings, they fine that ass, because you know why? Our taxpayers' dollars go straight to paying them. Like in the city, they're gonna get paid regardless. When you're in the counties, that money is allocated different. It goes for the schools, for other things, for the program. So it's a totally different aspect. But in closing, to me, I just want to tell all of my people that's listening to me, any encounter for a young Black female or young Black man with a cop is called making it home to your family. We want to survive that encounter. There's nothing embarrassing about it. All I ask you to do is get names and get numbers. Once you be quiet and invoke your Fifth Amendment right now, can they take you to jail from not talking? No, but if they do, and you give me that information, it's gonna make your lawsuit better. You gotta stop yap, and let that attitude go. You're not gonna argue with a redneck, him or her, when they get ready to take you to jail. No matter what you say, you're going to jail.
Right.
Be quiet. You got people out here like me and a lot of people I could contact you that let us handle this. How you, everybody say, oh, Mr. Rubenstein. Yeah, he making all of them dollars because he promoted his product. People get, why you, oh, I have people say, oh, you out there doing this. There's a lot of other Black lawyers that, yeah, okay, promote yourself. Put your, is a product, if Aniya A is selling ketchup and Michael Thomas Sr. is selling ketchup, but Aniya A do a better job of promoting it, so people gonna buy from you.
Right.
That's what Mr. Rubenstein does. He has promoted himself. So every time something happened with the cops, all right, you look at Ben Crump. Crump, why are you getting all of these cases with these people getting killed? Because people see the type of work he's doing.
Absolutely.
So,
and let me tell you something. Let me tell you how funny, well, not funny, but crazy that Ben Crump has been on this movement, on this job for how many years? And this was the first victory I think he got. Yes, he wins the cases monetarily, but getting a conviction, 3 freaking convictions. And I texted my boy like, congratulations, buddy, because we have it that way. Side note, I wanted to say that I heard Mr. Royce's name today, by the way. Some people are going to be calling him today or tomorrow.
Let's not celebrate. We got convictions, but we need them to go to jail for the max. Because just like I said, this cop that lynched George Floyd, if this bastard gets 10 years, that ain't no victory for us. We got something, okay, but we need the max. We got more people going to jail for selling drugs, get more time than they giving these damn cops for murdering us. I don't celebrate this. If he get 40 to 50 years, I'll pop my bottle of champagne open, but I'm just sitting back and I'm waiting because it has to stop. They have to be put in. George Floyd can never come back. This bastard should, excuse me for cursing on your show, but this bastard should never be able to see outside of a prison cell. He should die in jail.
Understandably. And this is what
celebrate.
I want everybody to understand. I'm with you, Michael Thomas Sr. We are in this together, my love. However, let's be realistical. For the first one, I don't know how far it's going to go. Now, am I going to be optimistic? And let me share this too, because I know we could be here all night. I'm exhausted. I got to be up at like 7 o'clock, but let me just share this because you're going to love this tea right here, sir. So right before everything started to take place and it got really, towards the hearing and the last couple of days or what have you, Gwen Carr, myself, and Ashley Sharpton were standing in front of Nan's doors after the rally. And I'll never forget Gwen Carr saying something to the effect of, she had a long conversation with either Terrence or Felonious or the siblings or what have you, excuse me. And she said, because they wanted to know how they should feel and how should they, be monitoring, everything. And she looked at them dead in the face and she said, as much as I want to basically tell you that this is a shoe in, like you guys are going to get this conviction, just be prepared. Because look at what I'm going through after all these years. And Michael Thomas Sr., my heart sunk at that moment, watching Mama Gwen Carr express this, but at the same time, I had to be strong and realize that this woman has been fighting for years, right? And I haven't spoken to her since the conviction and everything like that, but all I know is I know she's rejoicing, and I know Eric Garner is also rejoicing too. So I say that to say, not making light of where we are in present day America, KKK, but I want everybody to know that this is huge in the sense where we've never gotten this. Look at, what's his name that killed, my God, my brain just drew a blank. Trayvon Martin, look at that white boy. He is selling the guns and selling Skittles with his name on it as if it's a trophy piece. So we have to be very clear when, we want him to do years and life. But right now we have to do our part too, Black people. Harlem checking in. David McFly Mims on the ones and twos. Thank you for checking in, buddy. We love you. We just have to do our part, guys. And in closing on my side, I want to say, I'm tired of waking up and seeing the Black on Black crime. A lot of people are like, there's no such thing because it was perpetuated into our communities and things of that nature. That's understandable. But that was hundreds of years ago when we came over to this country, unbeknownst to ourselves. That is not something that we could have avoided or we could have changed. But we can change present day America. We can change how we look at one another. Haiti, you can change the policy makers' positions and you can have a democratic process. Brooklyn, you little fake gangsters out there that are killing each other and you don't care about who's walking down the street. You could change that. You Brooklyn and you Bronx as well, because that Wild Wild West shootout that just occurred 2 blocks away from me, where my whole block, 3 blocks were shut down and I couldn't get to the bodega for my coffee. That's a problem for me. That's a big problem when you can't get to the bodega. And Lucky is like, ruff, ruff, ruff. I want to go that way to poop. And I can't even take Lucky down that block because all 3 blocks. When I tell you, Michael Thomas, let me tell you something. Not only was those blocks blocked off all the news media, and then on top of that, they had drones and everything else because it was the police and the gangsters killing each other, crossfire, more people could have died. And it was like, did anybody stop and think how dangerous this was for anybody? But they didn't.
They don't care. The young people care. Like I said, when I was growing up, we had a code in the street. And it's sad that you got to have a code in the street. But, you see somebody that you after, with their loved ones or whatever people around, you get them another time. But these people shooting these guns, they shoot, bullets are being, shot all over.
All over. There's no empathy. There's no code anymore. Like you said, there was codes back in the day. You don't go after grandma them. You don't go after Nene's babies. Nowadays, they just shooting. You know what?
Even the mafia don't do that. The mafia wants somebody that they get who they want. They don't kill innocent people. And And our young people don't understand the dynamics of what's going on. They giving out football numbers in court to the young people. And I mean, it's just any way possible, we're gonna wipe you out. But this is a norm for them, you know, just the shooting. And like I always tell you, you've been through it with me, Peter Daquan, and like I told them, when the sun come out, the guns come out. Wednesday is gonna be 75 to 80 degrees. Lord have mercy.
I'm gonna be in the house because I cannot afford to get shot, especially on my block. How about that? Catch me outside. And my poor mother and father, my mother and father got us out of New York because they were like, yo, son, my father got shot in the head. And I don't often talk about this, and I've never said it publicly on my platform. As I was a 6-month-old baby in the house in Brooklyn, my father was walking down the block, and this was when the white boys was out just shooting. I don't know if you remember back in, like, you know what I mean? Back in the day, they out there playing with guns and shooting up and whatever. Let me tell you something. My father was walking. He got hit in the head with a whole bullet. Didn't realize it was a bullet, yo. And he goes into the pharmacy like, oh, I got an instant migraine, you know, in his broken English. He just got here from Haiti, you know, a few years prior, whatever. And, you know, he's like, I have a headache, please, headache. So they were like, sir, you're bleeding. Sir, you're bleeding. And my father was like, I don't understand this English. You know, what are you talking about? Sir, blood, your head. And Michael, he went to touch his head because he finally understood, and it was gushing blood. He had a straight bullet, and it was one, what do you call it? Centimeter, whatever, centimeter from his whatever artery, brain capsule, whatever the hell, you know, I don't do this brain stuff. And they said if it was 1 centimeter, 1 inch, whatever, he would have been dead on spot. But God preserved my father, because Lord knows I wouldn't have been able to make it as a child with no father. And God knew that I couldn't make it like that. So I want to say that I've known of tragedies. I've had cousins murdered. I've had friends murdered. And I've seen, you know, that this life is not for me. And I want to do my part in giving back and paying it forward, and encouraging us to put the guns down for real. So with that being said, I'm done. What would you like to say to wrap up, or give them your contact information? Because you look tired too, sir. We both like,
Yeah. I mean, you know, you get tired of, you know, fighting the powers that be. I'm not fighting for the gun violence in the community. It's the police violence around the world killing us. I mean, it's like a toss-up. I just like to say to all of my people that's listening on your show, which I love.
Amen.
Have this conversation with your loved ones. And I'm saying, from a law advantage, I preach it and I teach it, to understand that when you get stopped, get rid of the attitude. It's not that you're bowing down to them. And I always say this to people: you wouldn't reason with a person in the street, argue with a person in the street that you know that got a gun that could kill you. You're gonna be calm to get out of that situation. So why would you argue with a racist devil that have a right to take your life and justify it right there?
Right there.
So we have to learn how to be, you know, vigilant and smart. Okay, be quiet, get that information, and you make it home, and you deal with them later. Also, I would like to say this: a lot of our people, what they doing today is, we see a lot of stuff going on with the police. People got their cell phones. We have a tendency to wait for it to go left, then you want to put on your phone. If you're going to videotape, stand back, get that phone on from the beginning. Because I get a lot of videos and cases with my law firm, and I'm doing a 1058 hearing with the city. In case you guys don't know what a 1058 hearing is when we sitting on the side of the table and we sitting with the lawyers from the city across. Oh, but what happened prior to that? What happened prior to that? Once you give them that, okay, the numbers start going down. But when we got it all from the beginning, now we got them. I had an incident that happened with my nephew. I don't know how he did it. He worked for transit. He's coming home. They see him in his new car. They pull him over. They take him to the back of the car, which, okay, he's at the back of the car, but he's supposed to be facing them when they search in the car. They didn't do that, but I don't know how he held up the phone like this. And I mean, he got the most perfect video in the world. But what he did was, like his uncle told him, he says, sir, I'm complying, but I'm not consenting. Now what made it the lawsuit even better, a supervisor was on the scene with his officers. But I always tell you this, top down. If the supervisor is corrupt, what the hell you think the officer is going to be corrupt? Because the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. And now, when we sat down with the city and we put their video on, okay, we finished. Gotta pay this man. And that's what it's about. If we get violated, I want you to be compensated and appreciated. That's my thing.
And where can people find you, Mr. Michael Thomas Sr., the mentor of our community? Oh, real quick, Pamela Clark from Cheetahwaga, Buffalo has made her grand appearance as we're about to shut down. I love our Black people, knowing the show starts at 8:30 and they coming on at 10:30. I love my Black people. She says, lift Black voices. Absolutely, absolutely, Pamela Clark. We love you, baby. We love you. Welcome back, honey. Go ahead. Where can people find you? Because I'm pretty sure people want to find you and work with you.
On Instagram, they could get me, Michael the Mentor, on Instagram. And on Facebook, I'm Michael Thomas Sr. So reach out. Listen, if you have anybody that have problems with the police, you can reach me. Okay, like I told you, on either one, please follow what I tell you. 99 out of 100 times it works. If you're filming that video, please, I don't want to hear no screaming in the video. I know it's easy to say, but hard to do, because when you scream and yell, get the F off me, and you screaming, now when we dissecting it, you're covering the cops from actually what they saying or what they doing. I want your voice to be clear. Let them indict themselves. I got a tape right now where he actually called the two kids the N-word, and I'm gonna put my foot up your so-and-so, but because all of the yelling and screaming, you can't really hear. We know what he's saying, but when you sitting down with the lawsuits, you want it to be clear. They tell you to get stopped. They tell you to get out the car. Please get out the car. Do like I tell you to say, I'm complying, but I'm not consenting, and then immediately invoke your Fifth Amendment rights, the right to remain silent. If they don't reach you, your Miranda rights, get it on video. And this is what we do. It's sad that we have to do it this way. Okay, to me, it ain't about the money, it's about the principle with me. That's how it is with me. I take all of this personal because we come a long way as Black people, okay? And if something that should happen, that tape's going to be clear. So that's what I have to say in ending, because I got my other phone. My daughters are texting me about my job duties tomorrow with my grandbabies. But let me just say this to you before I go. My grandkids, the youngest ones are 2 and 3. But my ones that's 7 and 8, don't you know they know their Fourth Amendment rights? They know they Sixth Amendment, their First Amendment. My grandson got stopped in the car with my daughter and my son-in-law. He was on his iPad and he texted me, Daddy, the cop stopped us, whatever. And God is so good. I was 3 blocks away. 3 blocks away. But when I pulled up,
it was a wrap.
It was a wrap. Because you know, when they seen me, everything changed, because they knew they didn't have no reason to pull him over. But it's sad that my young grandson that's 8 years old knew what to do. And that's
it's not sad. It's amazing, because a lot of our young ones are clueless. But Michael Mentor, I wish you so much more success. And it's sad. I'm wishing you success on helping dismantle the foolishness. But at the end of the day, we need more like you. So for those that are watching tonight, reach out. Pamela Clark, thank you for letting us know she was cleaning out her mom's garage. She wants us to know that's why she wasn't able to make it early. We love you. Thank you.
That's a good daughter.
That's a good daughter, right? That's my Libra sister right there. For everybody that's watching, you heard some great information tonight. You know, don't be afraid to reach out to Michael the Mentor. Don't be afraid to reach out to your girl, Aniya A. Matter of fact, I get DMs all day and all night, people wanting to know more about the work I do, who I am, how do I get, you know, connected to people, things of that nature. Know that I'm very passionate about this. So I do this nightly, not because I don't have anything to do, but I have nothing to do when it comes to this work. I will drop everything to encourage, empower, enlighten our community, because if we don't do it, then it's like we're not here for anything. I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is bigger than me. And for all of you that are watching, just know you have rights. We all have rights. But please do me a favor, if you are watching and if you are having problems with your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your mother, whoever it is, make peace today. We never know when is the last day we're going to see that loved one. As we can see, even from that beautiful lady, Micaiah's mother, she's up here crying her eyes out right now as we speak. And it's unfortunate that she's crying so hard because, again, I don't know why Micaiah was in foster care. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying anything about that relationship. But what I am saying is that mother regrets now what has happened with her and her child because her child is no longer here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, be good to yourselves. Love each other. Love yourselves. Go out there and make a difference. I'm watching too many sad videos every day, but my job in this life is to encourage you and empower you and enlighten you in the best way I can because it's what I feel that God wants me to do. Michael Thomas Sr., I thank you for your contributions on the Aniya A show. The people definitely need to stick in touch.
All right, let me just say this to you.
Go ahead.
Because I gotta go, but just let your audience know if they can't reach out to you, you one of my soldiers. We in this army and war together.
Yes,
and
sir.
I just want for everybody that's listening, Aniya A, I love her so much because she stands for what's right. She's my soldier. I mean, she's a warrior. She stands strong in the front line. So if you can't reach me, reach her. We
Yes,
got to
sir.
get the cameras out for you people. We will be out there, and she fights for justice. And I love her like a fat kid love cake. That's my little chocolate bunny. So we in this together, and we gonna do this together. You know. So if you can't reach me, reach out to Aniya A. She'll definitely get in touch with me. That's my boo.
That's it, baby. I love you and I thank
Love
you.
you too.
I'm going to play a last little video clip for the people tonight because I want them to see a little bit more of Dr. Umar Johnson before I head out. I know you got to go and talk to the children and the
Yes.
grands. I love you, King. I'll see you
you
later.
too.
Thank you. All right, guys. So you just heard from Michael Thomas Sr. You have heard from the senior chaplain of the NYPD, Mr. Peter Zaquan Jones. You've been listening to your girl Aniya A all night. And I am literally just so blessed to have the opportunity to have a platform like this to share the things that are really on my heart and my spirit. It's not easy doing what I do every night of the week. It's not easy being me. Not only do I do this during the week, not only do I do this, every night, sometimes I have to do a replay of the shows, but I also go out into the communities. Like right before I got on, I was literally with the National Action Network's NAN Youth Huddle, just sharing some great information. I actually participated in like a play tonight. I couldn't stick around to say much more to the young people because I had to go because at the end of the day, I had my responsibilities of being on the show. But with that being said, I found the last video that I wanted to play for all of you tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut up and I am going to play that for you right now. So give me a moment. Again, I don't own the rights to this video. I don't own the rights to anything that I've played. It seems like Dr. Umar Johnson has been on the move. A lot of people have, a lot of things to say about the brother, but I know he speaks truth to power. I know him personally. I got on the phone with him this afternoon after I saw his video clip in regards to, what's going on with the killings, what's going on with Joe Biden, etc. And I was so blessed to have spoken to that brother because he literally tells us how it is, how it was, and how it's going to be. So this is an older video. The first video I played earlier was literally just, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago or so. I got to double check for that information. But this video that I'm playing now is literally a video that was from 2017. And let me shout out a couple people real quick. Let me shout out my sister from another mister, the one and only oh my God, I just drew a blank. Former president of the Women's Auxiliary, Aisha P. Wilson. Let me just shout her out real quick. I love her, love her, love her. And I can't wait to see her again. She's like, my right-hand woman. Let me shout her out for all the work that she's been doing on the front lines. Let me also shout out my sister Nia 2X, who's on the front lines doing the work that she's doing. We got to be together during the convention. Mama Valerie Wilson, I love her. She's doing excellent work as well out here in Paterson, New Jersey. We are all in the movement together, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So for those that don't understand why we fight so hard, first of all, it's God that gives us the desire. But secondly, if we don't do it, then what good are we? So let's keep that in mind. Let me close out with my brother, the one and only Mr.
The
Umar
Jamaican
Johnson.
government is giving them concessions, land concessions, they're building. I was in Jamaica. I keynoted the Garvey celebration last summer, Ocho Rios. The Chinese pretty much own Jamaica. The Jamaican government is giving them concessions, land concessions. They're building hotels, beach resorts, They're building 2 schools for the Japanese, excuse me, for the Jamaicans. And what the Jamaicans have to give them in turn is the right to certain lands, the right to certain waterways. And if it doesn't stop, Jamaica, ironically, the land of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, will be the first Chinese colony in the Caribbean. Wow. It's getting bad. And you know why it's happening? Because the Black bourgeoisie leadership in both Africa and the Caribbean, they don't have to live with the consequences of the economic decisions they make. So if I'm the president of Jamaica, okay, and China says, listen, we're going to give you $1 million in retirement. We're going to build you a retirement home, but we want this, this, and this. And you can loan as much money as you want. You can borrow as much money from the Bank of China as you want. I'm going to be set by the time I leave office. But what about my nation? Jamaica will be struggling for the next 50 years.
I just had to play that for you guys real quick. That video is the last video I wanted to play. And actually, no, let me play one last one because there is a last one. I don't know exactly where I'm going to find it, but let me just Google it for you guys real quick because I'm a firm believer that this brother here is literally doing some really powerful stuff. So let me just share this last video because Dr. Umar Johnson talks about our young sister. Let's see. And again, he's very controversial. I get it. But he talks about Naomi Osaka and something really triggered something inside of me. Let me talk about that real quick. Oh, it's 30 minutes. Hold on. 3 days ago, 9 minutes. You know what? Let me let that play for those that haven't seen it. Let's let that play about what he says after the Breakfast Club interview, because the Breakfast Club interview is 39 minutes. We're not doing that. We're going to play the 9-minute clip. And again, I don't own the rights to this video or to any of the video clips I played, but I had to talk about what Dr. Umar Johnson has been discussing because as of late, all of this has been popping up on my social media feed, and I wanted to give you all the tea directly.
About Black love. I told Charlemagne and DJ Envy today, I ain't got nothing against no white woman. I told Charlemagne and DJ Envy today, I ain't got nothing against no white woman. White woman ain't done nothing to me, but I love the Black woman, and I'm loyal to the Black woman, and the Black woman is my priority. That's just the way it's gonna go. That's just I don't care how pissed off the Black woman makes the Black man. I don't care how upset the Black woman makes the Black man. I don't care how much drama we have between the Black man and the Black woman. The only woman for the Black man is the Black woman. That's it. If you care about your race. Now, if you're not race first, I'm not talking to you. If you're not African family first, I'm not talking to you. If you're not revolutionary Pan-Africanist, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who want to see Africa rise. That's it. I'm not talking to nobody else. This is not a coon conversation. This is a conversation for liberation. If that's not you, hop off the line. If that's not you, hop off the line. The Prince of Pan-Africanism live from West Philadelphia. It's the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm in the West Side today. Shout out to West Philly. Shout out to all my Bieber Middle School alumni, class of 1988. Bieber Middle School. Scotland School alumni, class of 92. Millersville University alumni, class of 97 and 2000. Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, Clinical Psychology graduating class of 2012. Meade Elementary School, 18th and Oxford, class of 1986. And I want to say this right now because you're going to hear about it on the Breakfast Club interview we did this morning. I'm going to say this right now because you're going to hear about it on the Breakfast Club interview we did this morning. Naomi Osaka, I love you. I want you to keep doing well, my sister. You took down the GOAT. Serena's the GOAT. Whether she lost or not, she's still the GOAT. You got a long way to go before you get to Serena level. But we love you. But Naomi Osaka, because I want you to understand me in case the Breakfast Club edits, might not necessarily, give us the whole story. And I'm not sure how articulate I was in delivering this. But Naomi Osaka, I really wish you would have represented Haiti in the upcoming Olympics and not Japan. Naomi Osaka, I really wish you would have represented the Republic of Haiti, the revolutionary island Republic of Haiti. I really wish you would have represented them in the upcoming elections, not Japan. Because the Japanese don't give a damn about you. Okay? And with all due respect, it is the African DNA and it is the African blood that gave you that tennis talent that you have, not your Japanese ancestry. The Japanese are not known for being great tennis players. It's just not something they do. I'm not saying they have a genetic problem. I'm simply saying culturally, the Japanese are not known for tennis, not as much as the Americans and the French and other people. Your talent comes from your African blood. It was your African Haitian father. It was your African Haitian father. It was your African Haitian father who taught you how to play tennis. It was your African Haitian father who taught you how to play tennis. And it was your African DNA coming from the Revolutionary Republic of Haiti. Big up to Saint-La Overture. Big up Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Big up the Haitian Revolutionary Army of August the 21st, 1791. It was your African DNA and your African father from Haiti who taught you the game of tennis. So why are you representing your mother's people when it was your father's people who are responsible for where you are and who you are? Black power. Why are you representing your mother's people when it was your father's people who are responsible for who you are and what you are? Like I told Charlemagne today. Like I told my brother Charlemagne today. And we respectfully disagreed, and that's all right. Like I told Charlemagne today during my Breakfast Club interview this morning. If Naomi Osaka would have represented Haiti, she would have been able to shine a light on the oppression of the Haitian people being carried out by the U.S. government and the French government. Just like John Carlos and Tommy Smith did for Black America in the '68 Olympics. Just like John Carlos and Tommy Smith did for Black America in the 1968 Olympics, Naomi Osaka could have done the same thing for Haiti in the upcoming Olympics. She could have put a spotlight on her father's people. She could have put a spotlight on her Haitian ancestors. All the kids that are being kidnapped over there, all the organ theft over there, all the unjustified killings of Black people over there, U.S. military occupation over there, the American sabotage of the Haitian economy, the French domination over the Haitian government. Naomi Osaka could have really put a light on what's happening in Black Haiti. But instead of representing the Africans of Haiti, she would have represented the Japanese of Tokyo. I got a problem with that. I'm not mad at my sister. She's a young sister. She got a long way to go. She's a young sister. She got a long way to go. But I'm saying that we got to stop this. And this is why we got to kill the snow bunny crisis. This is why we got to kill the snow bunny crisis.
If you look at every person with a credit score over 800, they all have one thing in common. It's not that they pay their bills on time. It's not that they don't have any debt. It's not that they use some amazing credit repair services. The one thing they all have in common is they know.
This is why we got to kill the snow bunny crisis. Because when we have these mixed race Africans and we love them, they belong to us, they African. I want all my mixed race Africans to know I don't reject you, I don't deny you. You have to pass the same two tests that all Africans have to pass. Are you biologically African and are you psychologically African? Are you biologically African and are you psychologically African? From what I understand, according to Charlemagne, Naomi Osaka is psychologically African. And if that's the case, I applaud my sister. But there's still no excuse not to represent Haiti in the upcoming Olympics. There's still no excuse not to represent Haiti in the upcoming Olympics. I'm not knocking her. She's a young sister. She got to learn. I'm not knocking her. She's a young sister. She got to learn. You understand? Just like I'm not knocking my brother Daniel Kaluuya, you understand, who played Fred Hampton. I support Daniel Kaluuya. I support my Ugandan brother. I support Daniel Kaluuya. I'm going to continue to watch his movies. But when you get asked the question about the Black struggle, you better speak up. You better speak up. When you get asked the question about Black oppression, you better speak up. That's all we saying. That's all we saying. It's one race, one family. I don't make no distinction between Africans in the UK from Africans in America, Africans in America to Africans in the Caribbean, Africans in the Caribbean to Africans in Central and South America. I make no distinction between Africans in the West and Africans in the East. I'm holding everybody accountable. If you don't want to be held accountable, don't call yourself a Pan-Africanist. If you don't want to be held accountable, don't call yourself a Pan-Africanist. That's all we saying. But Joe Biden is a hypocrite. President Joe Biden is a hypocrite. How you out here making laws for Asians? You out here making laws for Asians. When you read the executive order for the Asians, when you read the executive order against Asian hate, that executive order don't mention black people. That executive order don't mention African Latinos. That executive order don't mention minorities. That executive order don't mention people of color. That executive order says Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, AAPI. AAPI. That executive order says Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, AAPI. They don't mention black people in that executive order. So why does the 1964 Civil Rights Bill mention women and gays? Why does the 1964 Civil Rights Bill mention women and gays? If you can single out Asians for special treatment, if you can single out for transgenders for special treatment, why can't you single out black people for special treatment? Why can't you single out black people for special treatment? Did you know that Joe Biden's executive order for the Asians is giving them their own director of Asian affairs? They will have their own federal director of Asian affairs. The transgender executive order that Joe Biden signed gives the LBGT their own director of transgender affairs. Donald Trump gave the Hispanics the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. They have their own director of Hispanic affairs. Why we don't have a black director for black affairs? Why is there no federal position for someone to look out for the best interests of black people? Why do we not have a national cabinet position for African American affairs, brothers and sisters?
Need I say more? There's nothing left to say. Thank you guys for tuning in. And that's all, folks. Good night.